What's cooking, Juventus fans? Welcome back to your old lady's favorite YouTube channel. Today's the day after. We all survived that. We all lived through it. We all lived to see another day. We're going to get through this. To do this today, though, we're going to be starting the first bit of our player ratings show. It's the day after. We will release our player ratings after we've had a little bit to let it cool off, let it marinate, if you will. This one's going to be bear with us. It's going to be more of a feel it through to start with, at least. And when I say that, what do I mean? I mean, if you've been around here before, if you've been around our website that we ran, I did the player ratings immediately after the games last season. Was able to do a bit more writing and research and all that. But we have our hands full here a lot at the Bianconeri Zone. So basically, I'm going to do this one with you guys. Go through, give my thoughts of what I saw, but also I want to hear in the comment section your own thoughts. Anyway, stick with us, and we will do our players ratings now. Ciao ragazzi, you're in the Bianconeri Zone. My name is Justin Sofro. Today is Sunday, August 29th, 2021. I know that was a long intro, but I just wanted to kind of give you all a feel for what we're doing here. It's a player rating show, similar to my player rating story I used to do. But I want to be fair, and I want to be unbiased when I go through this. And I was fair, and I was unbiased when I did those, regardless of what some people may tell you. I had to go by each person and what I think is fair for the expectations of that player. So we're going to get into this now. Bear with us. Also, I apologize. I know, guys, there's a reflection from my glasses. I've been doing so many of these videos, and I've been wearing contacts throughout it. My eyes are pained right now, so I have to wear the glasses. Just ignore the glasses. Stick more with the player ratings. That'll be on this side of the screen. And then just let me know your thoughts when we get through it. So here we go. We're going to start it now. The very first player that we have, we're going to start with the most maligned player of the first game of the season, and that was Wojciech Chesney. I gave him a 6 for his performance against Empoli. The reason I say that 6 may seem a little bit generous to some people. I know some people are going to want to come as hard as possible. But the problem is the way a lot of the team played, the bleeding could have been a lot worse, let's be honest. It could have been way more. They could have piled on a couple extra goals if he didn't step up like he did in the second half. But a lot of the reasons why I don't, give him a better score is because he did, and he was, again, I'm trying to think of the nicest way to say this. You know what? I don't need to say the nicest way ever. He's once again failed to keep a clean sheet, and that's all we need to ask at this point. You have Allegri coming in here. He's a very defensive-minded coach, low scoring. You're going to keep him to 0 or keep him to 1, but you're going to outscore him by 1 goal, and that's what you're going to get. That's what you're going to expect. That didn't happen. As you know, we lost 1-0 at home against Empoli, who we haven't lost to, and I believe it was like 8 matches going back to 2014. Disappointing. A lot of what to say. I mean, we can go through a little bit of the stats here. I don't know if you all really care that much, but I can go through. He had 3 saves, 2 punches, 1 run out, a successful run out, 2 saves from inside the box. He had 13 out of 14 accurate passes, 4 out of 5 accurate long balls, and 3 clearances, as well as 1 aerial duel 1. So not too bad of a statistical baseline if you're looking at Wojciech Chesney and what he brought to the club today. Problem was, again, he wasn't able to keep a clean sheet, but the person at fault for this really wasn't Chesney's fault. I'm getting ahead of myself. It was this next guy. And let's just go ahead and bring him up. We're going to be talking about Juan Quadrado, who I give Juan Cordrado a lot of praise here on the channel. He's one of the only guys for the club that really can step up and be a creative force there for the club, usually to create some kind of offensive scheme. Every time I thought he was about to do it, he failed to do it today. Not a great game for him, obviously. Let me go ahead and pull up what I gave for him, and that's the updated score, and that's what we have here. And it is Juan Quadrado. I gave him a 5.5, mainly because, honestly, it was his blunder on defense that really led to that goal that being scored for Empoli in the first half and completely took the air out of the proverbial tires of the club during this, and it really it killed the entire momentum that they were playing with. They were playing with a lot of energy and a lot of hype, and I felt like, you kept feeling like scoring was about to happen, and it just never happened. It never gave way, and Quadrado, not all on him. It's a team effort. This was a purely team effort of sucking. That's the only way that I can put it. I gave him a 5.5. What are some of his stats? He had 1 clearance. He had 1 interception, 2 tackles, 2 dribbles passed. He had 5 out of 7 ground duels won, 1 aerial duel, 1 out of 1. Lost possession 10 times. Let's see. What else we got here? 4 key passes, 3 out of 5 accurate crosses, 8 out of 11 accurate long balls, and 1 shot on target as well. So not terrible statistics overall, but the problem is that 1 goal that he really blundered and gave away. That he just looked lost, didn't know what was going on. That really did it for me. So, I mean, again, let me know your comments. Let me know what your all's ratings are down below. If I'm being too harsh, if I'm being too generous, you let me know. I'm still getting the feel for some of these ratings. I feel like sometimes I want to go harsher. Here's what we'll say overall. I hold Juventus to another standard when it comes to ratings. If I were rating an Empoli, if I were rating a Sassuolo or whatever have you, my rating would probably go up a whole point for each player for how they perform, but I expect more out of this club. Just like I expect more from each of its players, especially those that are of higher caliber. So I will rate a little bit more harshly. Or if you think that I'm not being harsh enough, let me know too, and then I'll adjust that as needed as well. Let's move on to the next part that we have, and that would be that would be our one of the bright spots. One of the bright spots that the club has, and that includes Matthias Delect. I gave him a 7. I felt like, and I know a lot of you may disagree, especially with the other guy, his other partner, but I think that the center backs really held firm pretty well for the defense overall. They were one of the bright spots today. Delect, let's go ahead and let's pull up what his statistics were. I gave him a 7, so he had 6 clearances, 1 interception, 1 tackle, 2 out of 3 ground duels won, 4 out of 5 aerial duels won. He did lose possession 7 times, of course, but it feels like everybody was today at this point, honestly. 0 accurate crosses, only 1 attempted, 1 out of 2 accurate long balls, 2 shots off target as well. But overall, I feel like defensively he was really strong. Did the best he could given the pieces that he had going on, as well as his partner did as well. So let's go ahead and jump into him. Otherwise, this video will be taking on forever. So let's go ahead and do Bonucci. I gave a 6.5. I thought he and Delect were both pretty solid overall. But Bonucci, there were a couple times that he looked a little bit lost and a little bit scatterbrained as well out there. I mean, it was a team that just looked confused. They looked like a team without a purpose, which is worrying to me when I think about Allegri and what he brings here. I expected to see a little bit better. This is almost what I would say is the same team that we saw that played against Barca. This looks like a team that's still on vacation. In their mind, they're still on the beach. They're not in the mode to be playing. They're not ready to be playing competitive football, even against the lowest of the low, which I'm sorry, Empoli is the lowest of the low right now. They're, not relegated, but they're basically a City B team. And this is what we've got going on. Okay, so let's continue. Leonardo Bonucci, he had 5 clearances, 2 block shots, 1 interception, 1 tackle. He had only 1 out of 3 ground duels won, only 3 out of 8 aerial duels won. I guess you could drop him down maybe to a 6 if you want to be a little bit more harsher, because some of those 7 possessions lost, 8 out of 13 accurate long balls. You know he's good with the long ball. One of the only players that we have that's good with it, and he had 1 shot off target. So that's what we had for the player. When it comes to Bonucci, I gave him a 6.5. Again, let me know your thoughts. Then we'll move to the other side of the defense, and we have Alexandro. I gave him a 5.5. There's so many times I feel like Alexandro is one of those players, though, like, the reason he's getting as much play is because there are no other options. There's nobody else to replace him with except for, Deschiglio, Luca Pellegrini, or guys that could come in. So we don't have any options. He didn't play the best. He was pretty poor overall. Let's just go into his stats. I gave him, and in case I didn't say it, I said a 5.5. He had 4 clearances, 1 block shot, 3 interceptions, 1 tackle. So those are solid. But then oh God. And this is what killed me. 2 out of 8 ground duels won. 1 out of 2 aerial duels won, but lost possession 18 times during the match. If you can't hold on to the damn ball, we're not going to win these games, especially if the defenders are going to go in lose possession, in the final third. That's going to set you up for failure every single time. Let's see. What else do we have? Anything else? 0 out of 3 accurate crosses, 2 out of 5 accurate long balls. I don't think Alexandro was particularly good. Could have been worse. This next section was worse, trust me. But yeah, I was not impressed with him. We're getting into this. Okay, we're ready. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one we have, it's going to be Bentancur, but it's going to be the midfield as a whole. And my midfield as a whole, I had to set a barrier. Like, there's no way they could receive above whatever point total is what I would say. Because they were, as a group, horrendous. They were awful. They lost possession. They couldn't stop anybody. They couldn't. So it basically set down the defense. They set up the defense for failure. It was an all systems failure when it came to Juventus and what they brought to the table. So let's get to the individual accolades, if you will. Rodrigo Bentancur, I gave a 4.5. That might seem harsh. I know a lot of people might say it's pretty harsh, but I did not like what I saw from him. I did not like what I sound like Sam I am. I did not like Sam I am. I was not impressed at all with any of the midfield players. They were absolutely horrendous. Let's see. Let's go into some of the stats to see if they make up, and maybe they'll argue against me. Let's see. He had... He only had an accurate passing percentage of 79%. That's 26 out of 33 passes. 2 key passes, 0 accurate crosses, 2 out of 5 accurate long balls, 1 shot blocked that he took. He did have 4 ground duels won. He had 0 aerial duels won, 1 clearance, 1 block shot, 2 interceptions, and 3 tackles. Overall, those numbers aren't enough for a successful defensive mid. I was not impressed by it. Just as a whole, this midfield is not good enough to win, which is, again, why I'm going to get into what I'm going to talk about a little bit later about other players and what we should be utilizing, and that's my personal opinion. Moving on to the next guy, we'll bring in Danilo. And Danilo, what I will say is overall, Danilo was probably the better option that we had in the midfield that we started off with. Not good. 5.5 is not good enough. I'd say... To me, an average player rating should be a 6. You should be bringing a 6 at least every single match. To me, that's acceptable. Not good, but it's acceptable. 5.5 was not very good. Danilo's playing, he's being pulled up from, usually he's, starts in the defense as a right back. And he's pulled up as a center midfielder. That's what he was playing today. At least that's the way he started out. Let's see. Let's go to some of his statistics. 42 out of 50, 84% accurate passes. 3 out of 8 accurate long balls, 2 shots off target. You know how I feel about Danilo when he takes shots. Don't is basically how I feel. Though the one that he took was as close to, wasn't really close to scoring because it was off target, but it was closer than a lot of other members of the team brought during that stretch. 3 out of 4 accurate, or 3 out of 4 aerial duels won, 0 ground duels won out of 2. Let's see, lost possession only 9 times, which is better than Alexandro at least. 2 clearances, 1 block shot, and 2 interceptions. Let's move on to the other guy while we're here. And we've got Adrian Rabiot. And Adrian Rabiot was a 4.5 as well. I thought he and Bentancur were really poor. Honestly, if you look at some of the ratings that people have out there, Adrian Rabiot was looked at as maybe the poorest player of the match, which is really disappointing because I expect more from him. I've seen him play a lot better recently. And when I say recently, I mean the end of last season, honestly. Who knows if maybe that injury is still a little bit lagging. What did he bring today? 17 out of 20 accurate passes. That's 85%. 0 out of 3 accurate crosses. 0 accurate long balls. 1 shot off target. 1 out of 3 ground duels won. 1 out of 1 aerial duels won. 9 possessions lost. He fouled a guy. He had 1 clearance as well. So, not good. I also left out Danilo had a yellow card as well today. So, Adrian Rabiot, pretty poor performance. He's not my lowest rated player. I have my reasonings for that, but what I will say is just the midfield is not good enough with what we have. We need somebody else to step up. I feel like we have somebody else to step up. I feel like it's just time to throw away the experience, throw away the leadership. When I say leadership, throw away that whole ideal. I'm not a big fan of, I guess the wording I would use is seniority. I'm not a big believer in seniority at this point. I'd rather have the talent and who I think is a better player, and that's what we'll get to them here in a second. Then we move to the birthday boy of the day, and I know a lot of people were hating on him, and that is Weston Mckinney. He was moved up as a part of the attack. I didn't realize that for a lot of the time until it was too late. But overall, only played for the first half, was pulled at halftime. fairly poor performance. Was not excited from what I saw about Weston McKinney. With all the rumors that were flying around, I made a joke and I'm not being serious about this, guys. Weston McKinney is, you can criticize him. I'm not saying don't criticize him. I'm not saying what other people say about different players. Don't criticize them. He is whatever better than all. I'm not saying that. I just think he's a solid player. I think he's a solid midfielder. I think he's a solid attacking mid. Don't think he's really good to be up there actually in the actual main portion of the attack to start out with. That didn't really make sense. There's a few position setup the way that Allegri did. I don't really understand. We can get into that in another time. What did he have? Weston McKinney. Let's see. He had sorry, I was talking a little bit too much. 0 accurate crosses, 1 accurate long ball, 0 ground duels, 1, 0 aerial duels, 1. Lost possession 3 times, but didn't have enough possession as it was. The only way I can really describe Weston McKinney, and I'm going to be harsh and I'll say he looked like he was confused. He looked like he had no purpose. He didn't know what he was doing out there. I don't know if it was the coaching, if it was his personal preparation or whatever it was. He looked like he was out of position, and he looked like he was in a position that he had no business being in. Hopefully they can rectify this in the future, and hopefully they can move him back maybe to his position where he's more comfortable in. Now is more of the doozy of the day, and that's my rating, and that would be of Paulo Dybala. And I gave Dybala a 4, as well as McKinney. I lean toward going to a 3.5, but honestly, in my personal opinion, I feel like, I don't know, there's some ratings that they're just so low that maybe they're being egregious. Maybe I should have done a 3.5. Let me know if you think I'm right, or if you think that I'm right, that maybe I should have been a 3.5 as well for Dybala. Here's Dybala's stats: 1 shot on target, 1 shot off target, 1 shot blocked, 1 out of 3 successful dribbles. Let's see, he had an 83% accurate pass, touching in 67 touches, 0 out of 6 accurate crosses, 11 out of 13 accurate long balls, 2 out of 6 ground duels, 1 out of 3 aerial duels, 1, and I'm doing this for dramatic effect, but I also really need to do this when I read it. 21 times he lost possession today. That is unacceptable from somebody who is your captain, who is your leader, who is your quote-unquote leader today. As well, let's say anything else of consequence. 1 interception he had. The reason I give Dybala a 4 is all that stuff, but also on top of that, there's the status. And I went hard on other people before, and so I'm gonna hold the equal standard to everybody, and that's what I want to say. McKinney was terrible. Dybala was terrible. 2 guys that I personally am a fan of and that I'd really like, but they were both horrendous today. They were terrible in their play. They looked like they didn't know what they were doing. They had no identity on the field. Dybala was the captain, and that's where I hold the biggest issue and the biggest grudge here. And when I say grudge, it's not okay. Maybe grudge is a little dramatic, but when I say that, what I mean is I expect more out of Dybala, out of anybody who's going to be the captain. Honestly, I'd make some changes going into next week. I think you need leadership changes. I brought it up talking about a player who I'm going to avoid saying any names because I know people will attack or get upset because I bring it up. I said about that player that if he was going to come out and he was going to be playing this season, that I wanted to see leadership. I wanted to see leadership qualities, not just scoring goals or not just whatever have you, assists, goals, whatever have you. I want to see leadership. I want to see grabbing guys, putting them back into this position, telling them what they need to be doing, correcting their mistakes. You've been here long enough. If you are a captain, you should know how to do that. I don't know if Dybala is a leader. I don't know if Dybala really should be captain, to be honest. I like Dybala a lot, but do I think he has the captain personality, the grinta, the whatever it is, the wherewithal to get in somebody's face and yell at them? I don't think so. That's why I feel like you need a guy like Chiellini starting from the beginning. You need somebody to whip somebody's bleep into shape. Does that make sense to you? That's my personal feelings. So I feel like we need to hold guys like these accountable, and we have to be harsh in these situations. Not that my ratings seriously matter, but I'm just saying that's why I gave the rating that I gave. Also, we're going to go into, we have our boy Federico Chiesa, and Chiesa was one of the lone bright spots of the Juventus play that we had today, honestly. I probably could drop it maybe to a 6, to be honest, because He played so well in the first half, and until that goal was scored, he had 3 shots on target, 3 out of 4 successful dribbles. He had 2 key passes, 2 accurate crosses, 2 accurate long balls, 5 ground duels won. He did lose possession 14 times. That is something to be, that's worrisome. And he also had 2 tackles. But it's just what I see on there. What I see is what I expected. Also, when I say Weston McKinney, he wasn't doing what I expected from him either. Weston McKinney, one of the reasons I'm so high on him and Chiesa sometimes is because of the level of energy they bring. They're always chasing balls down. They're running back and forth and up and down on the field. McKinney did not do that today. McKinney was horrible. McKinney deserves to be crapped on. Figure of speech. Chiesa, though, was solid until that goal was scored. And after that goal was scored by Empoli, it just took the air out of the proverbial tires of Juventus. I felt like they packed it in at that point. They were blindsided by a shot that when one of these teams, I won't say relegated, promoted teams from Serie B comes in here, they expect them to bow and lose the game. And that's kind of what I feel like kind of happened with these guys. I feel like once they scored that goal, they were like shocked. They were, a little bit blindsided, didn't know what to do, and didn't know how to react after that, and it all fell apart from there. That's on the coaching, that's on the players of experience, and that's on a lot of things, but the thing is you have to have the wherewithal to bounce back up and go back up and try to put together whatever you need to win the game. Now let's move on. Now we're getting into some of the guys that were brought on after that. I know this is a long video. I apologize. Hopefully we can see if I can shorten this, but I wanted to make sure I justified some of my picks and my answers for that. I think it's a little bit lazy just to throw up a number and then do a video. Why would you want to watch that? Maybe you don't want to watch this either. Anyway, now we bring on our boy Manuel Lucatelli, the new Juventus product, the one midfielder who I saw some bright spots when he came in. He played solid in a reserve role. For Rodrigo Bentancur came on for him in the 66th minute. During his time on there, had 93% accurate passes. He had 1 key pass, 2 accurate long balls. He had 2 shots that were off target, unfortunately. 1 big chance missed. 1 ground duel won. What else did he have? He ended a tackle. One thing I will say, there were a couple opportunities. 2 shots off target. I feel like both of these shots had a potential to be an equalizing goal. It was upsetting that it didn't happen, but I will say I liked what I saw from Manuel Lucatelli. At this point, that's what I'm getting at. The midfield is that awful. The midfield is that bad that I don't care. I know one of the reasons that I was upset and frustrated with the whole Manuel Lucatelli deal and how long it drug out for was because you wanted to have chemistry, you wanted to come in, but I think at this point, Manuel Lucatelli has that much natural talent that without the chemistry and without the ability, compared, when I say, I'm not going to act like this kid's a Pogba or whatever have you, but he is head and shoulders, I feel like, above the rest of our midfield and what they're bringing, at least what they brought today. Manuel Lucatelli comes out and plays with the heart of a Juventus player. He and Chiesa both have that ability. I was also disappointed that Chiesa came out when Manuel Lucatelli was coming in. I really was hoping that he would have stayed in so that way they could have played together and see how they would have worked out a little bit together. I gave him a 6 overall for his performance because he was one of the bright spots that we really had. Next up, let's go with our boy Deschiglio popped up. I gave him a 5. Was really... I could have forgotten that he was out there, and which I guess can be a good thing. He came in to spell Quadrado. Quadrado, again, didn't have his best game. He only played for 8 minutes, so really is even worth a rating. That's why I do a 5-2, because I feel like a 5 is right down the middle. There's not much I can really go off of playing 8 minutes. He had 2 clearances, 2 out of 2 aerial duels, 1. He did find a way to lose possession 6 times during that time. Not a good start. 0 out of 3 accurate crosses, 1 out of 2 long balls. So obviously nothing to write home about, especially for only 8 minutes played. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Deschiglio, guys. Let's be honest. Bernardeschi, 4.5. Bernardeschi came on for Adrian Rabiot. He also found a way to get a yellow card after he came in at the 55 minute. He played about 35 minutes today. He had 1 block shot. He had 1 out of 2 successful dribbles, 1 key pass, 1 out of 5 accurate crosses, 1 out of 2 accurate long balls, 5 out of 8 ground duels won. lost possession 11 times, which is a pretty big number for a guy who only played 35 minutes, and had 3 tackles as well. I was, again, disappointed. I saw some people were saying some positive things, like they thought Bernardeschi looked better. Could have fooled me. Looked like the same old Bernardeschi to me. Kind of disappointed because I expected a little bit more just because Allegri thinks that he can get something out of him. Haven't seen it yet. Watch this. We're going into the international break. Now he'll score a few goals for Italy, and then we'll try to act like we're going to have amnesia again and see how this happens. I know not over all of us will, because I know a lot of people are still anti-him. Anyway, let's just move it on. They were reserves, so I don't want to spend a ton of time on them, but I do want to make sure we talk about them for a little bit. Then we had Alvaro Morata, who came on for Weston McKinney at halftime. He played for 45 minutes. He had one successful dribble. He had no shots. He took no shots at all, and that was what was upsetting to me. I ended up giving him a 5.5. Wasn't terrible, but wasn't particularly good either, if you know what I'm saying. I'd say there was one huge opportunity that he had. He was in the final third, and instead of, he ended up trying to pass it back to Dybala. I believe it was Dybala. He tried to pass it back to Dybala and just completely lost possession, just turned it over. No reason for that. You literally had a guy, I'm not really the best at describing it, but a guy over in front of you and a little bit to your left, and then you had the keeper. Take a shot. Just take a shot. You had enough space there. Take a shot. Even if it's off target, whatever have you, it's at least an attempt. It's better than what you did, which was just give away without even an attempt being made. That was where my frustration came from. He had one successful dribble. Let's see. He had 19 touches, 3 key passes, 1 ground duel 1 aerial duel 1, and let's see, he was offside. As we know, Alvaro Morata is always offside, and he got his offside today, so he at least got that stat for us. Let's move on to Kulaszewski. I gave him a 5.5 as well. Again, nothing really special to write home about. He came in for Federico Chiesa when I really would have wished Federico Chiesa would have stayed on for a little bit. I want to see Lucatelli and Chiesa together. That's what I want. I need to see a little bit more of that happen. Need to see that chemistry develop. I think those two can be solid together and create for each other. He had 1 key pass, 0 out of 3 accurate crosses, 1 accurate long ball, 1 big chance created, 2 out of 3 successful dribbles, 2 out of 7 ground duels won. Not good. Lost possession 10 times. Again, it was an all systems failure. So one thing I'll say, he got a 5.5 out of me. And then finally we come to, I know this video has been running long anyway, so let me try to wrap it up. And then we've come to the coach, Max Allegri. I gave him a 4 for today's performance. You can't lose to Empoli. You can't lose to this level of team. It's an embarrassment. It is rough for Juventus fans to deal with this. There is no excuse for losing to Empoli. And I'll be honest, a lot of this, and I understand it's the second match, we can't go crazy with our criticism. I guess we can. Everybody's allowed to their opinion, but we can't go crazy. This is his second match back with the club. He's got work to do. I don't really love the comparisons to 2015 because I feel like the talent level was a lot better in 2015 than what we have. Currently, we'll see what happens. Hopefully he can make lemonade out of lemons, whatever you have. I think the talent's better than what I'm selling it as. I think they should still have a chance to win the Scudetto and at least compete for it. Hopefully, I don't want to come too harsh, and then who knows, they could go off on a run. But it's not great when you have to play Napoli, a Champions League match, and then Milan in the next 3 matches for Juventus. So we'll see what happens. Let me know your comments in the comment section down below. Am I too harsh on this? What I will say, my final thoughts, really, what I want to see next match, I think Chesney earned himself 1 more game to start. He wasn't terrible, wasn't particularly good, but I don't think he earned enough for Panine to come in. Maybe if you think Panine, the insertion of him, will maybe give a little bit of an injection of energy there. Maybe, who knows. What I want to see are guys actually playing in position. But what I really want to see is I want you to start Manuel Lucatelli in the midfield. I think at this point, it can't get any worse than what you've had. Manuel Lucatelli has got to be better than what we saw. That's my point of view. I think he can create. We saw that he was taking some shots. I feel like Manuel Lucatelli deserves to start. That's why you bought him. Bring him in. Give them the start. I want more time of Lucatelli and Chiesa together. That's what I want to see in the next match. I want to see how their chemistry works. Are they able to maybe put together something to who is now our remaining leading scorer from last year is Federico Chiesa. Had a great year last year. Let's see if we can keep it up and get right back on track against a tough opponent in Napoli in a couple weeks. Anyway, that's all I really have for you today. That's the player ratings for today's show. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if there's anything you'd like to see differently. Let me know your thoughts on the actual ratings that I gave. If you think that my ratings were too harsh, if they were too generous to some of these players, if you feel like it, leave your ratings down below, and I'll respond to those as well. Appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Make sure you hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, especially if you're new here. We want to know who you are and where you come from. And also, make sure you hit that bell icon to stay notified for all of our latest videos. Make sure you follow Bianconeri at Bianconeri on Twitter and Instagram. Follow me also. Now, listen to me, guys. If you're trying to contact me and you want to speak to me, contact me at Justin Sofro on Twitter, not at Bianconeri. That is a different guy who you're talking to. You're not going to reach me. So contact me at Justin Sofro on Twitter, and also our boy Julian Gianotti at Gianotti151 as well. Forza Juve, Forza Bianconeri.